Brian here. Did you know that most men are waiting to be chosen? They're just not taking action. I know I did. And this one area, this one activity of not stepping into tension, waiting to be chosen, puts you in the category of the nice guy. And when you're put in the category of the nice guy, you're quickly friend zoned. You lose out on second dates, and women that would have been attracted to you lose interest, shut the door, and don't give you another chance. I've had this happen many times. Matter of fact, I've got some of the images of some of these dates going through my head right now. So in this video, we're going to talk about how you can flip the script, become the chooser, get women to lean in, get people to respect you, and cause a big shift in your life. And if you stay to the end, I'm going to give you one special process technique you can do in the coming weeks to really amplify this chooser energy, which is the destroyer of the nice guy. So let's get started. The first thing I want to talk about is something that I'm calling the nice guy trap. And we got to understand this nice guy trap before we can change this behavior. And the nice guy, on average, is always waiting for approval. He's looking for approval from women, so he's afraid to take risk until he gets it. I know this from my life. I know in my life personally, I would go out with women, and if I got a lot of approval up front, let's say this would happen a lot with women that were a little insecure, they would start giving me validation. Suddenly I'd have this dose of courage come out of me, and I'd suddenly become more confident with the women. I'd suddenly become more bantery, more playful. But here was something interesting I began to notice was that when I went out with women that didn't do that, didn't give me permission up front, didn't validate me right away, I put myself in a box. I shrunk really small. You may have done this. Definitely put in the comments if you've experienced this. And I was afraid to take action. I was afraid to take that first risk of bantering, teasing, being playful, being a little turned on, being sexual. And I actually retreated all the way back up to my head. And I hid from these women. I was scared. I didn't want to get rejected. I didn't want to have to deal with their emotions. I didn't want to have to deal with their feelings if something went wrong. But in the end, what happened? In every case that I did that, and you'll probably notice this in your life, think about it, that's when I got rejected. That's when I lost the girl. I think back to some women from many years ago that I really liked, that I think personally would have really liked me had I not done that. Had I spent a little more time with them, got past that fear, brought out my bantery self, my playful self, I have this feeling that it would have gone very differently. I've got one in my head right now. She was so beautiful. I remember going out with her and I was so attracted to her. But that tension, that fear that was building in my body of blowing it caused me to just hold back with her. I wouldn't take the risk. I wouldn't say one bantery line. I tried to be perfect. I tried to be nice. I tried to get rid of all the tension. And of course, she didn't even friend zone me. She just never went out with me again. So what's the cost of this? The cost is I felt invisible. I felt unwanted. I felt frustrated. I ended up settling and long-term dating women that I didn't want to be with because I just didn't want to be alone. And I think this is how a lot of men, and you may have experienced this, end up in a long-term relationship with somebody that doesn't really make them happy, but at least she's there. And I think women do the same thing with men. Now, how do we change this? Well, you got to develop something I call chooser energy. See, true chooser energy, a man that knows who he is, knows what he wants, chooses his reality, and then chooses her, creates polarity. And polarity creates attraction. Male, female, up, down, right, left. Anytime there's polarity, it's two sides of a coin, they get attracted to each other. You can't have one side of a coin without the other side of the coin. They're forever linked, like masculine, feminine, men and women. You as a man are built to attract women. That is polarity. You are the counterpart to women. And the more masculine you are, the more you're going to attract more feminine women. So let's dive a little deeper into this so you can begin to understand the power of this chooser energy and how it creates polarity. The first thing a chooser, a man that has a powerful choice, a chooser energy does is he gets really clear about what he wants and then he chooses it. He doesn't stay in the wanting, he chooses it. He chooses the feeling of choice. That's what I mean. So what is it that you want out there? Do you even know? Are you wishy-washy? Are you the type of guy that'll accept anything? If a girl validates me, I'm going to get attracted to her just because she validated me? Or do you know what you really want in a woman? Do you know what you want in a woman who you're dating? Do you know what you want in a woman who you're in a relationship with? Are you constantly settling for less for fear of being alone? I used to do that, by the way. If that's you, don't feel bad. I did that all the time. I was constantly settling for the woman that was in front of me. I was never fully happy. I was actually quite miserable, but I didn't know any other way. And I'm going to tell you a secret. There's a lot of men that come into my events that want this chooser energy. They don't know it, but they're running nice guy syndrome, and they don't know that either. They don't really understand what this nice guy syndrome is, this polarity. And when they first get there, they begin to learn about it, and it kind of shocks them. One of the questions I love to ask at my events, and I'm going to ask you right now: have you ever been in a relationship you knew you should have ended, but you stayed in it anyways? You knew you should have ended it. Maybe it was day one, but you stayed in it for weeks, months, years even. Well, I ask that question a lot. And I'm going to tell you, I'm not a rat on myself first. When I first asked that question of myself, I had to look, and I thought of one woman immediately that I went on a date with. And I knew when I dropped her off, I should have not gone out with her again, but I was such a nice guy. And I didn't have any other options at the time that I ended up going on another date with her and another date with her. 3 years later, we finally ended it. And it felt like ripping my arm off, because that was the codependency. That was the nice guy syndrome. You see, we become chemically addicted to the wrong person because we need that validation. Now, this gets much deeper. We can go deeper into it in another talk about codependency and nice guy syndrome. If you guys want that, definitely put that down, how that works. But I just want to ask you, have you ever stayed with somebody that you knew you should have ended it with, you knew wasn't the right woman for you, just because you were running this nice guy energy and you hadn't developed your chooser yet? I want you to think about that. The record, by the way, at any of my events was 10 years. Somebody said they stayed with somebody and they were still with that person at 10 years. And to me, that's just incredible. Why would you stay with somebody you knew you should have broken up with early on in your relationship for 10 years? Wild. And I'm sure there's people that are much longer out there. Now let's dive deeper into this chooser energy. You see, choosers have figured out who they are. They know what they want from the external world because they know who they are. And they're not afraid, hear this, they're not afraid to say no. Because of that, their yes is very powerful. They're not afraid to say no. They're not afraid to be rejected. But because of that, their yes is very potent and very powerful. Now, how does this come across in your subcommunication, in your body language? Well, choosers are feeling through the core of their body. And when they say to a woman, I like you, they feel their heart. They feel the decisiveness in their stomach. They feel their power in their hips, their stomach and their hips. And women really respect that. When a man that's a chooser looks into them, he looks into them. And when he receives them, he fully receives them in. That's the embodiment piece. When a man that's a nice guy looks at them, he's typically in his head. He's racing. He's pulled back. He's up here. He's like, "Hi, I just wanted to meet you. You know, you're really pretty, or you're really beautiful. So I thought I'd come over and say hi." That doesn't feel very chooser. That feels reactive and nervous, right? I used to do that, by the way. So if that's you, don't feel bad. I did that a lot. Now, when you start to become a chooser, it's very different. You start to understand what I call the conduit, what a bubble is, what connecting with somebody is, what letting somebody in is, all these embodiment principles. And when you look at a woman, just like I'm looking at the camera, and you let her into your heart, you let her into your stomach, and you say, I like you. There's something about you. She feels the difference. When you walk over and you say, you know what, there's something about you, I'm curious, I just wanted to come say hi, she feels the difference. Matter of fact, it doesn't even matter what you say, because she feels that chooser energy first. You see, subcommunication is 93% nonverbal. I used to think that number had to be wrong, but as I've learned more about subcommunication and energy, it could even be 94, 95, 99% nonverbal. It's that much, it's that powerful. I had a friend that used to open women with the most random stuff, but he was super congruent with who he was. He had chosen his power, and he was choosing the women when he walked up. So he'd walk up to a woman and say, hey, you know what? I decided to walk up to you and say hi because you have a red shirt on, and so do I. And the women would laugh, and then they would just start talking to him. And he would just kick back and relax into his back. feel his grounding, and ground them. That's chooser energy. That's powerful energy. I'm choosing this moment. I'm choosing being with you. Now, what's a big piece of chooser energy that most people will never tell you? The chooser is choosing, and hear this is very important, fully being in the now with her when he opens or starts a conversation and goes on a date with her. He's not thinking 1 minute, 2 minutes, 10 minutes in the head. He's not worrying about his past. He's present with her now. He is choosing the now so that he can fully be present with her and feel her fully, and vice versa. And when a chooser knows something isn't right for him, he's also, because he's so comfortable with the now, not afraid of his own emotions. He's not afraid of being rejected. He's not afraid of pain. He can let go. So he can easily walk up to a woman and say, I like you. Then if he decides halfway through the conversation he doesn't like her, he's like, well, it was nice meeting you. I got to go. And he can let her go, because sometimes that happens, right? The chooser knows that, yeah, it's my job maybe to approach, but if I lose interest, I lose interest. And that's not my fault. So I can let her go and move on. The chooser also knows that she owes him nothing at all because he approached. I'm taking the time to come bother you to say hi. If you want to reject me, that's your obligation. It means nothing to me. You can reject me and I'll be like, okay, have a good day. And I'll go over and talk to this other woman. And the other woman might have seen me, and this has happened, be really confident with the first girl and handle the rejection so well, she gets curious. And I've even seen it where the first girl gets interested. Matter of fact, one time I went to this bar. I approached this girl early on when I got there, and she rejected me. And I was like, whatever. I just walked away. Didn't think a word about it. Didn't think a thing about it. There we go. I came back later and approached the same girl, saw her because she's cute, came up and talked to her a little later. She was all over me, sitting in my lap, making out with me. You see, most of the time, and I want you to hear this if this is you too, it's not personal when you get rejected. You take it, so many guys take it so personal. It might just be the moment. It might be that she just got there and she was gabbing with her friends and hadn't even taken time to settle in yet. She wasn't flowing yet, which is what I thought happened with this girl. And I wasn't fully in yet either. I had just gotten there too. So that's the power of chooser energy. Chooser energy on an embodiment level is a guy that can fully feel his heart, talk to you from his heart, and can fully feel his gut, talk to you from his gut, can feel the grounding beneath him, is thinking very little and spending most of his time feeling. The thoughts are coming up from inside of him, from his gut brain, from his heart, not from his head when he's responding. And when he listens, he's feeling fully with his body. So I want to invite you into becoming chooser energy. So if you're getting something out of this video, I want to invite you to like, subscribe, and share. Also, I want to invite you to comment. Those comments help everybody to grow. We all learn from them. I love that you guys give me nice big comments to play with. And I just want to encourage you to keep that up. I definitely notice. Now, the next thing I want to do with developing this chooser energy is I want to give you an embodiment shift, an idea, a feeling in your body that I want you to develop over the next week. It's very simple. When I first heard this, it really bugged me. It was something I heard from Xanthary on. That tells you what a nice guy I was. I had to really get behind it. Now it just seems obvious. Like, as my mind is shifted, like, why wouldn't I think this way? And most nice guys that aren't choosing, when they walk up to a woman, they ask themselves, does she like me? How do I get her to like me? They're not even taking a look at whether they like her. They're just trying to get validation, get a woman to like them. Does she like me? What's she think about me? And that causes the energy to come to the front of your body from an embodiment perspective and lean into her and start to almost plead a little bit on a micro level. And 2, 3, 4 minutes of that, a woman loses interest, sometimes quicker. Now, the real question you should be asking yourself is, do I like her? Even as I walk up and I sit in the back of my spine and I take her in, I haven't decided if I like her, even if she is super hot. She could be mega hot, but she might be rude. She might be mean. She might be cold. So the question I ask is, do I like her? Yeah, you're beautiful, but do I still like you after I talk to you? Do I still like you after I let you in? Are you somebody I'd want to spend 10 minutes with, let alone an hour, let alone a whole day? Let alone if you're looking for a girlfriend, a wife, the rest of my life. So that question becomes very important. So I want you to ask yourself inside, are you asking that question, does she like me? Or are you asking the question, do I like her? And to really bring this home, I want you to go sit somewhere where there's attractive women, coffee shop, cafe, sit down, and I want you to practice letting them in. The video I do about letting women in, right? The vulnerability walks, vulnerability talks. And then I want you to ask yourself over and over again, do I like her? Notice if there's a part of your body getting distracted by her beauty, by her radiance. Yes, you might like her beauty and her radiance, but do I like her when I let her in? Talk to the barista for a minute, crack a joke, and then especially if she's really attractive, or some girl that works in a shop, or a hired gun that works in a shop, and then step back and go, but do I really like her, or am I just distracted by her beauty, by her femininity? Do I just want her validation? And if you find that you really don't like her, let it go. Drop it right there. Imagine you could drop it like you would throwing something in the trash and just move on. Now, you're not really throwing her in the trash, but you're learning to let go and move on. You're not meant to attract everybody. So that's the first thing. That's an embodiment shift. That's something you can do for the next week, the next 2 weeks, the next month. And I'd love it if you comment in this video after you've been doing it for a bit and let me know what you think. So the next thing I want you to think about is, I want you to think of it when you're doing this as you're letting go of the part of you that's chasing approval, chasing validation, trying to win women over, and you're developing standards. Standards that she has to meet before you let her in, before you let her in long term, let's say. You let her in enough to make that decision. And this is very important. A lot of men, when they go out on a first date with a girl, and I'm also guilty of this, we go out to impress the woman. And there's this message in our culture that you didn't impress her, you blew it, you did something wrong. And I want you to throw that message out. When you go out on a first date, it's not your job to impress her. It's not your job to win her over. It's not your job to spend a lot of money on her. If she wants that, then maybe she's not the girl for you. Maybe it's just to go out and decide if you want to have another date with her, if you want to take her to dinner, if you want to get to know her better. And this is really important. So if you're at the stage where you're getting first dates, I want you to think about that. I want you to go out on dates, get on Tinder, get on message boards, go on Omegle, whatever it is you want to do to meet women, and then ask yourself, besides her beauty, how do I feel about her? And then compare it against your standards. Did you drop your standards suddenly? Did you suddenly lax your standards because she's kind of extra hot? Well, she's bitchy, but that's okay. And I want you to let that go. The pickier you become at first, they'll start to disappear. But as you get solid and more comfortable with it and stay open with it, a whole bunch of more amazing women will come in to fill that space. I promise you. The next thing I want you to think about is wanting. Wanting is really a problem. It comes, when you want approval, it's a form of wanting. And if you back it all the way up to wanting, you can actually see the wanting running. Is there any part of you that's wanting something from her before you've decided you like her? I'm going to keep reemphasizing this idea that, do I like her? And if you're wanting something from her other than to say hi, other than to get to know her, let that go. Just drop it. If you don't know how to reveal or release on wanting, definitely check out my revealing course, or check out the Sedona method, or check out Letting Go by Dr. Hawkins, and really read the section on wanting and learn to understand what wanting is. Wanting implies you don't have, and if you keep amplifying that want, you're going to become more insecure, more nervous, and it's going to create anxiety in your body. And that's what we want to get rid of. You see, real men are choosers. They operate from courage. They're decisive. They're definitive. They don't want. They go do. If they're going to go lift weights, they lift weights. They don't want to lift weights. And if they say, I can't lift that weight, they reduce it to a weight they can lift and lift the weight. They don't sit there wanting to lift a bigger weight. They do what they can do today, knowing there's always tomorrow to get a little better again. And with that said, I want you to remember, it's about reps. It's about the 1% rule. It's about consistency. It's about the eighth wonder of the world, compounding interest. When you do this stuff a little bit each day, doing what you can choose to do today, letting go of everything else, within no time at all, within weeks, months, you are a whole different human being. And I've seen this with approaching. One of my students, I desensitized him online, many of my students actually, but this one in particular, desensitized himself online in 5 months and went from terrified to talk to women, all the way up to having women chasing him, approaching him, to total confidence, walking right up to him in bars, because he did it the right way. He did it slowly over 5 months rather than trying to break a horse. And by doing it that way, he had so many women catcalling him. He was shocked. He's like, I've never had a woman catcall me before, but she catcalled me from a bicycle and told me I was hot. And it has everything to do with the way he was being, the way he was walking, carrying himself. It changed him radically to go through that process over a 5 month period, learning to feel and project out all that powerful masculine energy. Now, with all that said, I want you to think about these daily little practices you can do to start to become the chooser. Number one, it's at what I said earlier. Do I like her? Versus does she like me? Let that go. Let go of all the wanting. Number two, start small, 1% at a time. That's very important. Number three, walk in the feeling of already being a chooser. What does it feel like to be a chooser? Watch videos of men that are choosers. Watch videos of men that aren't needy. Go look them up. Get a feeling. What is it to sit in your back? What is it to relax back and to welcome women into your space? Start to journal about that. Start to look at that. Start to feel. What is it to choose me first and then invite women into that reality and just explore it. And remember, as the chooser, you become the leader of the dance. You create an amazing dance. But remember, when you create an amazing space for a woman, she will feel it, she will amplify it. As you become the container for the dance, she becomes the expression of the dance. When you create a beautiful space for her to fill, she'll come in and take everything you gave her, amplify it, give it back to you. That is real masculine and feminine. And when you're the chooser, you activate that feminine part of a woman that wants to amplify what you choose and what you give her. Powerful when you think about it. And with that said, I want you to think about one more thing. When an interaction's over, when a relationship's over, choosers end quickly. They don't waste time. They rip the Band-Aid off. They move on. They let go fast. And that's how you begin to know you're really becoming a chooser. Now remember, only the courageous really live.